Right. I could pass it over. Which chair is that? Oh, that's the right chair.
Are you going to be at the
I'm gonna sit. I'll sit here.
Yeah, I think I can get us.
And before we start, is reviewing bids something that is done publicly, or is it something that is done internally? I have no idea what the rules are about it.
I think that we can go. I don't think that we said that we were gonna like do it privately. I don't know. I need to ask Bill for that expertise, but I think we're trying to be as evaluation.
Oh yeah, no. So as long as there's no rules against it being public.
No, I don't think there's any rules against it being public. I'm gonna date stamp mine with the but I'm gonna adjust it for the time received when I received it a couple days ago when we finished the meeting, because this was received actually last week. This one. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, the Corporation of Harpers Ferry Budget and Finance meeting. This is a special meeting. Is meeting today at November 17, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. in Harpers Ferry. And in attendance, we have the Budget Finance Committee consisting of Storm, Chris, and I, Christian, and Deb Kelly, our financial officers in attendance, and Bill Robinson is in attendance. The water commissioner?
And as an attendee, yep. If we need
As an
his
attendee.
expertise,
Oh, he's
yep,
here.
we can pull him in if we need him.
Okay, so I'm going to read the required verbiage. Until further notice, the Corporation of Harpers Ferry governing deliberative bodies will hold its meetings and or hearings virtually via Zoom webinar, which provides for public participation during a public comment period when applicable and when posted in the agenda, which it was. Alternatively, you may watch on YouTube video, live stream, or listen by telephone. And these options do comply with the West Virginia Open Governmental Meetings Act. I'm just going to call for approval. This should hopefully not be too long, but and Storm, I'll admit this is my first time involved in a bid in the bid process. So this will be a first. So approval of the agenda.
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Nothing. Okay. I move that we move ahead with the following agenda that was outlined here tonight in this for this meeting.
Christian, quick question: is Storm taking minutes?
I can.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
in favor?
Oh,
We did to approve the minutes. You're right. Okay. Okay. All right. So right now, Deb is going to open up the bid.
Well, you all have it emailed to you, and we have it right here.
I do.
It didn't have an envelope or anything because it came in by email, but this is from the one from Clean Management.
Okay, and this is the sole bid we received.
It's the only one we received. Yes, we received some this afternoon. Someone contacted me and asked if they could have an extension until tomorrow morning. They had received some final information this afternoon, and I just didn't think they could get it compiled into completion by the closing time. But as you noticed in my response, I explained that would really throw off the entire thing, and that had been our deadline. So, yeah, we just got. And then someone else who had contacted me with the question, a third vendor who had contacted me with the question earlier, did respond and say they declined. And I did not provide you with a copy of it, but I do have it for the file saying that they declined.
Okay.
Okay, so there were a total of 3 contacts. We have the bid from the one, we have the one that declined, and then the other that could not get their bid in for the published deadline.
Right, and I also did have, I was concerned that I was not able to reach one of the contractors that is involved in our project down at the water plant. And, but I had reached him, he didn't respond initially. Anyway.
But they
when
were,
he
they
did
were,
respond, he
but-
said,
sorry, go ahead.
he also pretty much declined in that comment too. Because, you know, he's not a direct person. He would have had to contract. So he thought, you know, I'm probably not going to end up doing it.
Okay, so that's the fourth party, and they were definitely notified. They had an opportunity. You even went to them directly, and they declined to bid.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's see here. So we just have the one bid. I guess we should try to put that on the form. See how it.
You know, I'm just gonna go check my junk mail because there's another one on here and he was like, said absolutely he was gonna get in touch with, he was gonna submit his bid. And
Yeah,
I
good idea.
did not get, I'm just gonna go make sure it didn't get in my junk mail by accident.
Great.
By the way, I'm
And-
looking at this bid. What's 501 Franklin Street? Where's that?
Oh, Franklin, really? In Harper's Ferry?
Well, it says prepared for Deb Kelly, uses the waterworks and then use that street address. That
Let me
was,
look it up. 'Cause that's right by Town Hall.
I think that is town hall. 501 is.
well, we use 1000 Washington. Well, maybe, okay. Maybe that's a liquor store. I don't know. But
Maybe it's a ghost bid. Let's see. Yeah, it's basically it's right in the heart of the intersection of Ridge. Oh, I see. It's at Ridge and Franklin. So it's just up the hill.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is because of communication with the waterworks originally. Okay, wait, now I'm getting an email from the guy. Okay.
Now, do we know what the rule is? Like if we've done this process and we do only receive one bid, would we be in the clear if the bid meets the qualifications? I believe the answer is yes. Oh, go ahead, Deb.
So I did just receive this moment a bid from the gentleman who asked about the extension and he has gotten it in now in this moment. Do you want me to forward that to you?
I would say so. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yes, please.
yeah,
I think it's fair to say not tomorrow morning, but if it's 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, I think we admit that.
And they had signaled their intent to get it in. So
And we're rushing to do something.
right. Yeah.
I think weighing that against only having one bid. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what it says. Then we should, don't you think we should use her form that she put together?
I think that form is fantastic.
I think,
Okay, should be getting that now. I'm gonna go get it up. It's printer for me and Chris.
then eventually we'll do this electronically. And it should be a lot more efficient.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I got to get there. Oops. They got the trucks. I see the picture.
They at least have pictures of trucks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is a big one.
It's very thorough.
Absolutely.
You know what I neglected to bring, Deb probably has it, but our call for proposals or our call for bids. Do you all have those in front of you?
I can pull it up. Yeah, I should have had that pulled up.
you go.
Thank you. Do you
want
have
a
a
second
copy
one
of
too?
our
Yeah.
call,
Of the what?
of our call for bids with
Yeah.
the
That's right
comments
here.
and everything? Great.
And what I tried to do with that form was go through the bid request and
Incorporate it all.
incorporate
Oh, great.
requirements into the evaluation sheet.
Thank you
So
so
there's a
much for
second
doing
one
that.
for your second person.
Okay.
Okay, so how do you want to do this? Where do we go from here?
Well, I think if we go down through the sheet, or if we want to take a moment for each of us to review the bid, just look it over.
Okay.
Big difference.
Yeah.
And we're already, I guess we should just go through the chart and stop not doing oh, this and that. I think we should go through the chart
Yep.
without
I've,
us calling. Yeah. So let's see the first one. So Deb, maybe you can write them down as we're going.
I'll make the conglomerate for you, yeah.
Okay. So Chris, are you done? Have you kind of looked at enough or you want more time? It's okay.
You mean for one of them, or?
You need to read more. You need more time to look at it, or you want to start going through the bid evaluation?
I thought we were doing the checklist ourselves and then gonna compare.
Oh, okay. I didn't do that. I'm just read it. So
Oh, yeah.
submission.
Yeah. I only was looking at the first one. Haven't opened the longer one.
So can we say their submission received on time? You want to go?
Yeah. I think.
Which one are we talking about, Jason?
Well, I guess we should start with the long
Clean
one.
management?
Hang on, I'm trying to get it open.
The one pager?
Clean man, let's do the first one. They got it first, so let's do them first. Yeah, clean management. Yep, give them 10 points. What was that? Oh, wait, that's not 10 points. That's, oh, you get a point. Is that
Well,
it?
the idea was,
Point?
my idea of this, and this is our first time doing this, so we can be, this is a moving platform, but my thought was that each person, each of you, the evaluators, would go through the chart for each of the vendors and then I could compile your scores. Does that make sense?
So should we do this individually?
I think that makes it fair. You haven't discussed it then to reach a
Sure.
conclusion. I mean, you can enlighten each other with discussion and change your mind, but it seems like if you start from scratch at first, that seems a little more fair to me.
Great. So let's then do that. And the first one that we received, let's have that be bid number 1. That's the shorter one.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're rating, then when we refer to bid 1, it's the one from clean management.
I wish I could have print these off. I'm swinging between screens. So
yeah, a lot of moving my glasses up and forth for this. Yeah.
no, I got them on different. I got one's on, one's off. Okay.
So the group number, so the group number is 1740. M as in Mary, 926. WXY 130 A 2807.
Hmm.
Dropped off there somehow.
Oh, yeah, my internet dropped.
You were so quiet, we didn't even notice.
I have been diligently reviewing and ranking these proposals while I was away. So yes,
Whoa.
it would have been the same. So a lot of words.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm almost done with my rank.
You have Phil standing by if anyone has any technical questions. He might be able to help us with.
Does he have the proposals?
Yes, I sent him the proposals, I think.
some of these we don't have like, well, we'll talk about it, but I didn't see permit or license, or I'm assuming they're,
Well, yeah,
I
I'm
didn't see
going,
that in either one. So,
Well,
Yeah,
if
going-
neither one of them has it, then they're equal.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going strictly off of what's in the four corners of these documents. Okay, my review is complete.
Is that for both of them or just,
For both of them.
Take the time you need.
I was thinking also we could go, I'm having a little trouble keeping up with going back and forth. Maybe we can go down each line or each,
Yeah, I think that would be a good way to do it once we're all.
yeah, got it
once we've all
done.
had time to-
So this is one thing in general, this sludge or whatever we call it, this is not dangerous, right? This is,
Well, my understanding is we currently don't believe so, but they were only able to test so far. So I believe that's why lab testing was one of the items in the RFP, but Bill can speak to it more thoroughly. I love the term lagoon sludge. That's great.
I thought that was good too. I like that.
say that again, Storm? What?
Oh, I was admiring the term lagoon sludge.
Mm,
So do you want
And
me
it
to
makes me
bring
wonder
Bill?
if there are different classifications.
Do you want me to bring Bill in, or you want to wait until you have questions?
Yeah, why don't we try a first pass going down item by item,
Okay,
and then maybe we can just make little notes, like if we can't make a determination, mark that for a thing that we want to ask Bill about in more
that
detail.
sounds good.
Christian, Chris, does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All
But
right,
this way,
shall
it's
we
just
take it from the
three,
top?
it's a three of us. Then the one we have issues with, then we can get him on board, or we'll be four of us doing it.
Yeah, but I feel like we three need to be the arbiters, so we should do our first pass.
I think Chris just needs a few more minutes, so.
Yep.
And just for our record keeping and everything, since you guys did your sheet, once we finish with this meeting, if you can scan it to me, and I'll just keep it with the summary.
Yeah, you won't get mine until tomorrow, so.
Yeah, me too. I'm kind of, it's complicated, but yeah, it's written down.
Yeah, it's fine, as long as I think if we just put it all in the file.
Yeah. It's not a PDF form I could fill out either, so it's,
hmm.
so Deb, it's true, we got two really no bids, is that? And then we-
nobody, we got one that said they declined definitively in writing. One said yeah, I'm probably not gonna do it. And then a third one indicated that they were, but we didn't receive anything.
Okay. I think it was fair.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think we would have at least, we can say we had at least 3 bids or
Well,
2
but
bids,
you
but
can't, but a no bid doesn't count as a bid. So, we're, in our guidelines,
then we can't move. We can't.
no, not true, not true, not true.
Okay.
Just have to be able to, we're certain that we can justify it under qualified reasons.
Right, we have 3, we have, some instances in which we can, that you can proceed when 3 bids are not possible. One is an emergency situation, which we've determined this is not. One is solicitations advertised, and when we use the state book, it says through West Virginia Oasis, but in place of that, we would say the format in which we did with less than 3 bids. An agency that advertises a delegated solicitation is not required to obtain 3 bids if less than 3 bidders respond. This provision does not apply to an agency that has issued flawed or unlawfully restricted specifications. So we did not do that. We went through our process. We did it properly. We verified that we had many people involved, and we did not get 3 bids. We only got 2. So that means that we may proceed. And the third would be a direct reward situation, but I don't think that applies actually, because we do have 2 bids.
Mhm.
Okay, does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm satisfied we're conducting a proper procedure.
Okay, all right, so we're ready now to proceed with the the bidder number 1, which
Yep.
is the 1-page summary. Okay, all right, so submission received on time.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Lab results of sludge sample,
No.
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 okay. Verification of insurance provided,
No.
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 licensing provided,
No.
No.
permits provided,
No.
No.
I'm not sure on that.
okay. Is that where, anybody have any, so let's talk that through, I guess.
Yeah, like I didn't see anything
I didn't see it.
in this bid that indicated that there was any permit.
I didn't even see the word.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Did you notice it anywhere, Chris, that
Well, I don't know what that
what it necessarily meant?
CERCLA approved TSDF means, and,
Oh, I see. Where CERCLA approved TSD, I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
so,
Okay, so we'll have,
Put a wash. Okay.
okay, all right, so I'm gonna put that down as a no, because we don't, it's not like there was a paper provided that said, we have this permit, here's our permit.
Right.
Yeah.
Nor, I wasn't sure what it meant, even if it meant, we're including permitting fees, it didn't talk about that either.
Right.
So
Yep.
no points
Okay.
granted.
Does designated disposal site provided,
yes.
statement of ability to satisfy requirements of RFP.
No.
Hmm.
Like, I took that to mean that somewhere it was saying, we believe, this bid was done in response to your RFP and it qualifies. There's no language like that.
Well, that's true, though this company does this kind of business. At least, but did we have to have a statement from them saying that? I thought it meant a statement.
Let me look in the, because I pulled all this out of the,
Yeah.
Yeah, the intent was that they made a statement of their general qualifications, yes, but Deb will tell us where it came from the source.
Okay, hang on, I think I found it. Proposals should be prepared simply and economically, providing a straightforward, concise description of the vendor's ability to satisfy the requirements of the RFP. Emphasis should be placed on completeness and clarity of the content. So perhaps by shortening up that description, I may have misled what you were looking for.
Okay.
So, but it does come from that full paragraph that's out of vendor proposal section 3.1 economy of preparation. So I think you're looking for an overall descriptor that they can do this.
Well, it says that what sets us apart, it's that section there. It's just live operator, nationwide serves 150 years experience, $5 million. I don't know. It looks
I think, yeah, on the whole I'm sorry, Christian.
I'm just saying, it's not like somebody, like a company who digs ditches and then, ditch digging company, and then they're going to do pumping now. You know what I mean? It's like, this is their business.
Yeah, on the whole, after hearing the description that Deb read, I would say that yes, that it on the whole, this is an economic description of how they are going to satisfy the RFP, even if they didn't say that in so many words.
It certainly is sketchy, but,
Yeah.
they have the truck should be able to load and move within 1 hour, and mention their vacuum tanker. So again, it's sketchy, but I would give them a yes.
Yeah, I would say it's not detailed, but it is there.
It's not right, and it's not written in specificity, but it's sort of assumed from the information they give us, or implied. Yeah. So we're going with 3 yeses on that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Description of pumping mechanism. And if you want me to go back and provide clarity on any of these, let me know.
Yeah, just based on that sentence, my answer would be no. It does say it's a pump truck, but as far as what technology is going to be used and the process, it wasn't clear to me.
Okay. So that's a no.
I give it a yes. They got a pump truck and they got hoses and they're gonna stick it in there.
All right, I got a yes and a no, and then Chris, what do you say?
I'd say yes.
Okay. All right, description of transport modality.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
okay, and then we have estimated number of trips being 20.
Yes.
And length of trips. They
said
don't.
Yes, because they gave the location. We could divine that.
Yeah.
Okay. And earliest time frame to completion.
No.
No.
All right. Okay, so I'll summarize this in a bit, but let's go on to the cost piece. Clarity of cost proposal. Any thoughts on that? Do you want to, did you give it a number? We didn't really talk about how we were going to assign numbers in this part, but
you know what? I didn't even see the second page. So
well, it's on the same page.
oh no, just the way it is on my screen. There's a page break.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. I can.
To me, the cost was just the overall cost.
Well, I think do we feel like when we read it, given the variables that we understand what they are charging and what would affect what the final charges would be, because in the prior conversations, we wanted to know not just an estimate, but a unit estimate. So I actually felt like this was very clear on that count. I felt it was very clear.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Are we clear? There are some things in here that it looks like, it does appear on that washout fee that they're, if they don't need to do it, they won't do it. That was good. It's something, I'm not 100% sure that I understand if there's anything about the additional cost, except that it does say that we're responsible for the actual number of gallons loaded.
That was pretty clear, because you can imagine it, if there's one truck that goes back and forth, they would never need to wash it out until the end, versus if it's broken up, they might need to wash it out several times. I am taking points off just because the level of detail, there's not a ton of detail. So, nor is there much language about what would precipitate a change order. So, but all in all, I feel like it is pretty clear. And I'm going to 75 of 90.
Okay, so I'm going to put down a 75 for storm, and
I had put down a 70.
okay, and Christian.
I'm gonna put an 80.
Okay. Okay, and then the other things we just want to make sure we address. Did we see any conflict of interest?
I
No,
don't know how to judge that. That might be something that we, that's maybe at the end, at least we check with Bill on.
Okay. Any thoughts?
Well, they are in South Carolina. I mean, that's, but I don't know where their closest is around here. So,
yeah, I'd say none of the three of us know of any conflict of interest. So I think we rely on Bill to know about that.
Okay. And as far as we know, from what we can see, any contract or joint venture is required. And that's just just something we need to know about. That's all.
In fact, they pointed out at the top of their bid that they do not have contractors.
Okay, great. Okay, any other comments that you would like to make about this?
now, one question, what if it doesn't take 20 loads, it's only 18 loads? So it's adjusted?
Yes.
I would say it would be adjusted.
Yeah, I would think so. Okay.
I
So we'll monitor that, right? I hope at the plant.
I hope so. Yeah.
My reading of it was that, they were kind of clear that the cost could be less. I was less sure that they were putting in right to charge more, or what happens with the excess cost,
Well,
if there was an excess cost.
It does say that quantities listed are for estimated volumes. Client will be responsible for actual number of gallons and loads shipped.
Yeah.
So I think what they're implying is that if they have to pump more than 74,456 gallons, then they're going to keep charging at 80 cents a gallon. It's not like they're saying, we think this is how much we're going to charge, and if it's in excess of that, we'll give it to you at half the rate.
Yeah.
They're not saying that, and
Correct.
their total is estimated.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right, everybody clear about that one?
Yep.
All right, let me get a second summary sheet. Hang on. Okay, this is going to be for. Okay, I'm ready for submission received on time.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Lab results of sludge sample.
No.
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 Verification of insurance provided.
No.
Not that I saw.
License. Sorry, did I do too fast?
Nope. We're 3 no's, so we're good.
Okay, licensing provided.
Did not see it.
No.
No.
Okay, permits provided.
No.
No.
No,
Designated disposal site provided.
No.
no,
Statement of ability to satisfy requirements of RFP.
I'd say yes.
I'd say
yes,
Yeah,
Description of pumping mechanism.
Yes.
yes.
yes,
A lot of
Just-
detail.
Yes.
Description of transport modality.
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
And are we clear about the estimated number of trips and the estimated length of trips? Any questions there or anything like that?
Yeah, because we don't know, it wasn't entirely clear to me on that. But if this is all for 1 point, I still give them the point.
yeah, they're talking about the cost of the transportation of solids to the tank cleaning. So I would say yes.
Okay. So now on to cost and the clarity of the your overall cost assessment based on the 90 points with clarity of proposal addressing potential cost of just excess cost, excuse me, and total cost.
Yeah.
I had a question about this roll-off boxes with liners.
I did too.
It said something on 11, client to supply, and yet I see it up in third-party charges. I'm seeing it like,
Yeah.
that's not much. It's $500. I shouldn't even worry about it.
Well,
Yeah.
Maybe they're providing, I don't, or that's what it costs to move them. I don't know.
Yeah, I had them, they provided a lot of detail, so that will precipitate more questions, but on the whole, I felt like it was more clear. So
Yeah,
I went with an 80.
Yeah, okay, yes, I'd put yes.
all right, so do you have an overall number that you want to put in the cost category?
80 for me.
I put 80 as well.
Wait, when we go back to this percentage in costs, are we looking at the overall cost of the project? Because this project costs a lot more than the other vendor.
Right.
So,
I think you have to keep that.
see, that's the way I'm looking at
Oh.
the cost is,
Oh, I see. Well,
you're looking at those questions, and I agree with that, but I'm looking at the overall dollars.
well,
And I
isn't
see a
that,
huge difference. The way we're doing it now, we're going to select the highest bidder.
Okay,
Well,
so
No.
No.
Kristen, the points possible are just on the clarity and the addresses. I'm taking the point system that we have. That was to be in case of a tiebreaker or in case of, we had major concerns. That was my.
well, this is part of, this is the first time we've done this, so we didn't really vet all that out in the process. I mean, it is our obligation to go with the lowest bidder whenever possible. And if we were to go with a higher bidder, we would need to make justification to that point. And so I wasn't quite sure how to put that in a chart.
yeah, I was taking the cost not to mean the cost, because that's already part of rules, but
Right.
to mean the other things around the clarity
The
of
other
it.
things, okay, fair
Yeah.
enough, okay.
So I was
Yeah.
not considering the actual dollars attached to it.
And I think when we make our decision, then first we look at the cost overall, and then we start looking at the points. And if there is anything lacking that we think is a real problem that would lead us to go with the higher cost.
And I do want to bring in Bill for that part of the
Yes,
discussion.
let's ask him, because he's the one that came up with this 90-10. So,
All right. Okay, I'll bring Bill into the discussion here.
yeah, let's hear this. Let me get this right.
I'm trying. There we go. Are you there, Bill?
I'm here.
Okay, enlighten us.
I think as far as the scoring goes, the for the cost scoring, it's broken down into 3 categories. And I would look at the final line there is total cost. And unless and it's designed so that if your total cost is too high, that might be, you might have a lower number there. See what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah,
that's a negative, not a
great.
positive.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
You
Okay,
have
so
a further-
you're expecting that as part of the 90 points, we are taking into consideration that, let's say we had 3 bids and you wanted to assign 30 points to clarity, 30 points to the excess cost, and 30 points to the total cost. If this was the high one, you might give this one 10 and you might give the low one 30.
30, yeah.
I
Or
see.
20 or whatever.
Understood.
So, you know, the idea behind that is that it allows us to evaluate the costs in more dimensions than just how much is it?
well,
Because we had some,
Bill
we
is
wanted
frozen.
to. I'm frozen.
Well, we're seeing you, but it might be frozen on Storms. Let's give it a second to let it cycle for him.
Storm froze for a second for me.
There we go.
Okay.
I think
All
I'm
right,
back.
here we go.
All right. So the idea behind breaking out the cost into something a little more nuanced than just the lowest was so that we could kind of get a handle on if someone did a really good job of saying, well, here's what we estimate it to be, here's how we're going to price it if things aren't as expected, you know, giving us a good range, a predictable range of expectation, you know, knowing that we have to pump some more water in here probably to get it out. That's why I went with something other than just, are they the lowest as an analysis.
So
And-
if I could make an example of that then, so let's say that the lowest person came in and they would get a 30 for cost, but it was completely unclear how they were going to get there. Their cost, their clarity of proposal was it just said, you know, it's going to cost me $15,000. So
Right.
then you would assign a 10 to the clarity and you would make a 30 on the total cost.
Right. And ultimately, you know, because we are obligated to put a lot of effort into justifying selecting other than the lowest bidder, I figured this would give us a better framework for coming up with, you know, explaining our decision if it wasn't the least expensive. You know, sort of vetting it more thoroughly than just looking at the bottom line. And I think it's important for us to recognize that these are 2 very different processes we're looking at. And while the second proposal is very thorough and it's, you know, much more thorough than the first in explaining about the company and that sort of thing, I think it's important to note that it's a completely different modality. You know, this is not just pumping it out and hauling it away. This involves I don't know if you got it from the description, but there's a belt press involved.
Yeah.
And they're gonna pull it out, squish it. So instead of what we're using with Oscar, where it's a gravity dewatering, it's going to be a compression mechanical dewatering. And then they're going to take that, you know, not dry, but no longer a slurry, compacted stuff and haul that away in boxes. So they're 2, we don't even have apples and oranges here as far as how it's being done.
And that was the question I had for about bid number 1 and its modality. It wasn't very specific, but is that because it's a much simpler modality that they didn't figure they needed to explain what it was?
Well, I'm not going to second guess what their thought process was, but there's a lot less in that bid because there's just not much to it. You know, there's less to talk about. It's just a come and pump it into a truck and haul it away.
Right. I mean, I don't know this industry. So basically it's a term of art just to say that it's a pump fee for this truck and that would be understood by someone who was in this field.
Probably,
what
yeah,
that-
yeah, and so, but it's just the whole mechanism they're deploying here is a lot less complicated than the second. So when you evaluate sort of how they described it, there's just not that much to describe. So
And do you feel confident that bid number one, that their modality will get the job done?
yes, I don't know enough about them to, but based on the bid, sure, this is what they do.
Mhm.
And I mean, I would have preferred some more clarity on some of the points because we were pretty specific in our RFP. But you don't always get they don't always answer things that they send out tons of these every day. You know what I mean? They do these jobs all the time.
Mhm.
And so they have a form and they're trying to use their form to meet our form and that's on us to make a decision whether we're comfortable with how they've responded or not responded.
Do you have
Yeah, no.
any?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Bill, do you have any insights on those last two questions that we had, conflict of interest and subcontracts? Do you know anything about these companies? And
No, but I don't, if they don't declare a subcontractor and they utilize a subcontractor, then they will have violated the terms.
Well, the second one does say that it involves a third party.
Yeah, subcontractor. They said
Right.
they will.
Yeah, third party, and I don't. How to put this? This is not an overly complicated job. For setting aside how they do it for the moment, it's just to remove the gook out of the hole and make it go away. And the reason we've gone with an RFP is because there are lots of different ways to do it, and because we wanted to have the ability to have a little better understanding of how they were going, what our risks were about price overages. And because we weren't specifying like we did in our the request for bids that we did for the overall job, that was already engineered. We'd already described it all. Here, they're telling us how they're going to do the thing, where instead of us telling them, we need you to do this thing exactly this way, we're saying, we've got a problem, tell us how you'll fix it and what it'll cost. So that's why the RFP was utilized. But, if we were a private company, we would have just hired somebody. You know what I mean? So some of this complexity is the simplicity of the job sort of not aligning with the complexity of what we have to do as a public entity to do this right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I feel at this point, it's pretty clear that, having gone through the checklists, that it seems like bid number one actually comes out a little bit ahead. We haven't tallied the numbers, and that is also the lower bid. And that I'm satisfied from what you have said, Bill, that bid number one, their modality and method will get the job done, which is to say, I don't know, Deb, do you feel like there's more that we need to follow through?
Well, yeah, I have I want to ask a couple questions about bid number two, but then I also think before we make statements about our opinions about which one, I'd like to go back and address the cost section of each one of them, knowing Bill's setup thought, and then proceed. Does that make sense? Just so that we have
Yes.
a numerical piece to it before we opine.
yeah,
Right,
and
sure.
I guess I'm a little uncomfortable with including the total cost in the point system. To me, that was the main thing, and then we went to the points if there was a tie, I mean, that's what we talked about in some of our process.
Yes, however, this bid, so in the evaluation criteria, let me just read that. It says all evaluation criteria is defined in the specification section based on 100 points. Cost shall represent a minimum of 90 of the 100 points. The following are the evaluation factors and maximum points possible for the points scores: approach, methodology, and timeline. 10 points possible, cost 90 points possible. So,
So
and
we
then,
do say it's part of the.
yes, and then we say independent price determination. A proposal will not be considered for award if the price in the proposal was not arrived at independently without collusion. We talk about all that. And then we talk about rejection of proposal. So we do define that we're going to use this as a framework for our decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we say to do the points, just for example, the low bid gets 90 points. And then the other one gets, based on that percentage, that's, you know what I mean, difference.
Well, I think we're supposed to be rating each one individually. So I guess that's the question, is if we're rating the cost of the proposal, what's that rated against? Our expectation of what the cost should be, how we feel about the cost? Or is it comparing one, this field of them, like Christian is saying, that we look at them all together and assign them points based on, which is highest.
Or do you want to assign, clarity of proposal has 10 possible points or 30 possible points, or do you want to do it that way? So I think however we do it is okay. We just need to decide which way we think is the most appropriate to do it. Do you have thoughts?
Well, this is on me. I didn't specify scoring that cost, those three categories, whether they were equal or not. All things, taking it all into consideration, I think clarity and the first two are important, but they're nowhere near as important as that total cost.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we weight that more heavily, like,
10, 10 and 70, or 15, 15 and 60.
Yeah, 15, 15 and well, it'd be, 15, 15 and 60 sounds good.
All right, so
Okay.
let's do that. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
15, 15 and 60. All right,
Because
so
the objective here is to ultimately, we still have the lowest price as, the lowest bid is what we by default are supposed to select. If we deviate from that, we have to justify it. And I wasn't
Right.
sure
Right.
whether we would need more information in order to make a better decision. But in this case, I think it's, but I think we have to score that low price high.
I think it's good.
I think it's more like 70, 30, I mean, like 10 and 10, and then what's ever left, 70, 70. That's,
Okay.
We also don't have to award all the points. Like, I don't,
oh, that's true.
yeah.
Well, you will on cost, at least on cost. That you can do, right? Well, you won't give all points. I agree. But on the one,
Yeah, you don't
the
have to
one
give
with
all the
cost,
points. We have the
Right.
discretion to assign however many points we want to, like if somebody was absolutely not provided zero clarity or any of that, we could score them less than the available points.
Should
All
we
right,
look
so-
at our budget? Should we look at the budget
Well-
number we had for this? Is that something
The bu-
to go
Well, I
against?
can tell you that the budget number that we have for this is between $50,000 and $60,000. So no matter what we do, we're over our budget, and that is going to be something we'll have to deal with in terms of making a revision, as well as the timing of all of that.
But
We,
so I think that's the yardstick for assigning points for cost.
There you
is
go.
How much above or below our budget it is. So no one can get 90 points if everything is above the budget. Or above 70 for the cost part.
I'll let you come up with the equation as to how many points to assign. But
All right,
I
so-
agree with you in principle. I just don't want to do the math.
No,
So-
the thing is, it's still subjective, how many points,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, so are we back? So tell me where we are with assigning the weighting of the three attributes.
each of us should go for each of the 3 lines for clarity cost proposal, decide how many of the 15 points each of the 2 bids earned. Do the same
Right.
thing for excess cost. And that's also, yeah, so that was 15, excess cost 15. And then for total cost, assign as many as 70 points. To me, 70 would be, either at budget, or if we had multiple bids, below budget. Since it's not, assign the number of points you feel is warranted on that 70-point scale for each one, based on how much above the budgeted cost there is.
All right, we have a total of 90 points to distribute among the 3 attributes. So do you want 10, 10, and 70?
That's what I feel
15,
comfortable with,
15,
but-
70.
15,
Well, we already
15,
got
and
10
70
earlier.
is more than 90.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
you're
90,
making
sorry.
that,
My mind is so tuned to 100-point scales. Yes, 10, 10.
10, 10, and 70, okay.
yeah,
Christian,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
Thank
that's what
you.
I want. That's what I like.
All right, so 10, 10, and 70. All right, so now I'm getting ready to go around the table. Y'all ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
just saying.
And we're still on hydroclean.
We'll stay on hydro, Tim, and then we'll go back to clean management.
So give me just a sec.
Okay, so I'm sorry, are we starting with bid number 1 or bid number 2?
We're gonna start, since we've been on bid number 2, we're gonna stay with bid number 2. We'll go back to bid number 1. Oh, but before we do that, I have questions on page 8 of the bid that we're looking at right now, where it talks about the city of Harpers Ferry will be responsible for the costs associated with the disposal of the filter cake generated because of the HPC dewatering operation. And the town of Harpers Ferry will be responsible for the costs associated with the hauling and disposal of the filter cake.
Mhm.
What does that mean?
That's why I took points off for clarity. So it sounds like there's going to be, from this pressing process, like coffee grounds after you've had your coffee, that gets left behind, and we have to figure out what to do with them.
Okay.
Bill, you have any ideas?
Well, I assume it's the stuff that the filter doesn't catch, you know what I mean? So we're gonna have a mess of stuff that's gonna need to be cleaned up. But I can't I can't back up their lack of clarity here. So I think that's insufficiently clear.
Okay, but it also speaks to, it sounds to me, it speaks to just the overall differentiation in process. Where
Yes,
it doesn't-
and ultimately, additional unquantified cost.
Right. Mhm. Okay, all right, so I just want to make sure we had a grasp on that. Okay, so now we're looking at the cost part for hydrochem. We'll go around the room for clarity of cost proposal. Possible 10 points from each of you.
7.
I'll be an 8.
Yeah, I would say 8.
Okay, and then the next item is addresses potential excess cost possible of 10 points from each of you.
8.
8.
8.
And total cost possible of 70 points from each of you.
10.
What'd you say?
30.
You said
10.
10? 10? Oh,
Okay,
And I said 30.
okay, and Christian?
20.
Okay, all right, that takes care of that one. And then let's finish out hydrochem completely. So conflict of interest, we don't know of any, is that correct?
That's correct.
And joint subcontract, we say that's a yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, any other comments that we want to make about this particular process?
No, I don't.
I would note that it was a very thorough,
Oh, yeah.
proposal.
Any concerns over the debris left behind or any of that kind of stuff, since it's a different process than the just hauling it out?
Yes. Yeah, and that was part of what, for me, took some points off in the cost category and also resulted
So
in
the-
not getting points further up.
The reason I'm asking for these as specific comments is because our next step is that we're gonna now have to go to council and inform them. So this is why I think obviously, it was really helpful that Bill helped us understand the difference between the two processes, which will now be responsible for doing for council, but the impact of that, I think, is what we want to make sure that we make clear for them.
Got it.
How can we just throw away, seeing it's like coffee filter debris? I understand that. Can we just dispose of that in our own system, our with waste management in our trash?
We
Or
don't
does it
know,
require something else we got to do?
right?
Well,
I don't know.
I think there's insufficient data provided to answer. Now, I don't know how much that's going to be. We may have to get trucks to haul that away too. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm nervous about it.
Yeah, like
I
I think-
understand how that process works, but I've not run a belt press, so I don't know how much of a mess it makes, how much leftover there is for us to clean up. I mean, clearly it has to remove the bulk of it, or it would be kind of a pointless exercise. But whether or not we still have contaminant concerns with how we handle what's left, I can't answer that. And that would be a concern if we do have to dispose of it in a particular way. Then getting it up, getting it loaded, and getting it out of there is not going to be free. So, and it could just be, I don't know if it's something that you can sweep up with a broom, or if we're going to have to get the dump truck and fill it up several times and haul it somewhere. I have no idea. So that doesn't that was the thing that certainly made me a little concerned, is that we're trying desperately to control costs here, and the more question marks about what other things we're gonna have to pay for once we start this process. Because once we do something like that, we can't go, oh well, we don't have the budget for that, so we're just gonna leave that there on the ground. That's not how that works. So once we get on the ride, we got to ride it till the end. And that to me was a big question mark.
Okay, so I just wrote under there that it appears there will be debris left behind. We're unsure about if there are any contaminant concerns with that, and our mode which is our responsibility to remove. We're not sure how involved that removal will be, if there are any contaminants or the cost involved with it.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Any other comments on that?
Do we still have the? I saw in the email. I saw the cover letter that we can actually follow up with them on that. Is that a worthwhile endeavor to do? I don't know. I mean, not now, but tomorrow or something.
Mhm.
With bid number
defer.
2,
Before we can even make it vote on it, or can we vote on it, a recommendation? With what knowledge we have now to the council.
I defer to your wisdom.
I'm sorry, are you asking if we can vote on
It's
this
kind of
now?
a question, is whether do we want to wait to get further clarification on that, or we still vote on it?
I think if we wait for further clarification,
They'll push our
The-
meeting off.
the idea of this exercise was so that they would provide us with this. I mean,
Yeah.
we did request pretty specifically, and the reason I was as granular as I was in the RFP, despite this being a relatively simple, problem to solve, it's not, they're not
Right.
building anything, was because we're on a super short fuse.
We are. Yeah.
And seasonal limitations, both on the vendor side and on our side, for a construction process, dictate that we got to get this done. And
I'd say if
I'm good.
If it had been the low bid and we weren't sure that it was going to clear the bar because of this issue, then I think it would have been warranted to follow up, but that's not the case here.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to put that out there. So,
Okay. All right, let's go over to,
Bid one.
the first one, and what we're doing here is revisiting the cost based on, what we know we're gonna be applying 10 total possible points to clarity of cost, 10 to excessive cost issues, and 70 to total cost. So number 1, 10, excuse me, clarity,
8,
8,
8, 8,
okay, excessive cost,
8,
9,
I'll say 8.
and total cost.
40.
40 out of
60,
70.
I'm Christian, I missed yours.
I didn't say, I'm thinking. Chris said his.
He did, yes, he did. Waiting
Okay.
on yours.
I'm gonna say out of 70, I'm gonna say 55.
All right, okay, so what I'm doing, and then, did we have any other comments, on this one? We didn't talk about the purpose of the comments in depth the first time around, so.
yeah, given that we were pretty specific on our request for proposals, I'm a little concerned about the lack of licensing and permit, and I would make, if we go with this one, I would request that information.
Okay,
Yeah, it's contingent on those things being provided.
right.
Yep.
Okay. So that can go into how you make your motion ultimately. All right, so what I'm gonna do, what I'm doing now that we know your scores, anything in the top section where you gave a yes, I give 1 point for each of you. Anything that was a no doesn't get a point. Then that whole number gets added up and will be divided by 3. And then in the cost section, I'm doing the same thing. I'm adding all your points up, dividing by 3. Those two together then will give you your combined score against 100. So give me just a minute to finish that and I'll be with you.
You guys remember what I said for the number 2? What was his total cost? I think I forgot to write it down.
Oh, for bid number 2?
Yeah. Remember what I said?
I think,
Well, there was a 10, a 30, and a 20
Okay.
on the
that's-
first one.
That's okay. Good. That's what I thought. Okay. I'm writing it down so I can get my form in tomorrow. Oh, Friday.
Adding to the excitement.
Yeah.
Okay, so in following this process, bid number 1, your combined total on the approach methodology and timeline gave 14 points. Your combined on the cost gave 204, so that comes up to 218 total. Dividing that by 3 comes up to a score of 72.66. And then on number 2, your approach methodology and timeline, your accumulated yeses got you to, that came to a total of 12. And on the cost, it came to a total of 107. And so together that's 119 divided by 3 gives us a score of 39.66.
Okay.
okay.
Okay, so now, I guess the Well, I'm sorry. You
Can I
all-
make a motion?
Well, let me get to the second piece and then you can do your motion.
Oh, okay.
Let me get to, because we're still in one. We're still in,
Oh, the two-part meeting, we forgot.
yeah. So, okay, next, okay, we finished, completed, one. Now, the second part of our meeting, discussion and action regarding the recommendation of contract award for request for proposal for removal, transport, and disposal of post-processing sludge. Okay,
And before you make a motion, can I make a comment about the budget?
Yes.
So, like, when you're thinking about this, remember that we are going to need to make a budget revision there. And we are, you know, if you utilize this number, we're a big step away. And we also have an open-ended piece to this, too, that we're going to need to allow for in our, well, plan for, possibly, you know, be prepared for. So, you just may want to think about that as you form your motion, because we still have to go through the process of adjusting, revising the water budget to accommodate this.
And would this be coming out of, well, I guess.
the water budget.
Right, so there's money within the water budget to cover this?
Well, gee, what an easy question you made that.
It's so simple, yes.
So part of what we need to, you as a council are going to need to consider when you approve the revised water budget is how it does affect the water budget. So when we formulated the water budget, we were planning on a couple things to happen this year with regard to moving forward with the distribution system. One was the Elk Run project. And then we also had to deal with this issue. And so we put into our budget the Elk Run project at X dollars, which I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, and then this at $50,000-$60,000. So then when the numbers all matriculate, and included in that matriculation is the income that our benefit from the difference in the loan amount, the percentage of the loan amount with the cost increase for the project. So that's starting to matriculate in the first year, right?
Mhm.
And then also we had what I'll call seed money that was left over from when we closed the loan, and we got our soft cost back, which was approximately $250,000. So put that to the side. We matriculate the numbers, and we ended up with a negative balance in expenses because of those two projects that were going on. So we had to take what that negative number was and pull it in as proceeds from the loan up on our income side to balance it. Now, when we go back and we revise, are we going to need to just pull more money out of that seed money? I'm not 100% sure, because there are some other moving parts happening within the water budget right now that we know about. There's an issue of plant chemicals. That thing is rocking all over the place with the market right now.
Yeah.
There's some other areas that need attention aside just from this. So I don't know where that's all going to end up and how, where, why it's going to come from. On the other hand, this must be done.
Oh, yeah,
And
but
so
so it's either gonna be from
we gotta
that,
make it happen somehow. Yeah.
right,
So,
but that money may need to be pulled in from somewhere outside of the water budget is one of the
also the operating budget. Yeah. As it is now, perhaps.
Okay, thank you.
Can we do this? Do we have to do this tonight, or can we do this for our next meeting and then take it into December?
Well, I think that, okay, so we're dealing with time constraints with the weather if we want to get this project started right away, because the colder it gets, the harder it is to move the sludge. So there's.
Well, I meant the dollar. I meant talking about where we adjust the budget from. We're going to do this project.
Well, but on the other hand, you have to remember that you don't have within your budget right now, in the water budget, we don't have this much money assigned to this part.
Okay.
So really, before you sign on the dotted line, that really should be assessed inside the revision of that budget. Doesn't mean that we can't do it quickly, but it means that you do need to address it. You can't just say, well, we're gonna do it. And
Now,
that
is that-
maybe,
Well, I guess
Okay.
is that something we should or even can do tonight, or will we need to do
no,
that?
it's gonna need to get planned, and that budget, the budget process is that it gets formulated, it goes to the Water Commission for recommendation to the council.
Okay.
I know this is something we haven't really talked about too much, and I know Bill's over there probably going, what's she saying? But that's really the truth, and how fast, doesn't mean that we can't start to move forward knowing that we're gonna do it, but we really shouldn't execute until we have the budget right. Does
Yeah.
that make any sense, Bill?
So
Yes,
should
it
there
does.
even- I'm wondering, should there even be a town council meeting about it tomorrow then?
Well, I don't see why you can't make a decision contingent on your business about your permits and everything, and also contingent on it fitting into a revised water budget that gets approved by X date or whatever, which would allow you to then execute this after that time.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to have a little guidance on how much percentage on top of this number you want to allow for any excess.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you see where I'm going with all this? I'm trying,
Yep.
Yeah.
I see it.
We want to
I don't
pass
like
it in
it,
a way
but I
that,
see it.
I know,
right, we don't get there and suddenly there's not enough funding to actually complete it.
we're back to the same point, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So with all that in mind.
Somebody make me a cup of
Do
tea
we
now.
want to do these in multiple
Chris,
motions? Do we want to do it in multiple motions? I mean, one big motion would be huge, wouldn't it?
Is it? Chris,
Is
do
it
you
though?
have,
I
think we
mean,
should
it's,
select-
it's,
I think we should select the vendor we select, voted on, and make that recommendation, and then we do another motion on the budget, Water Commission budget.
Well, I think we can just make them both contingencies.
I was gonna, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think you make the recommendation contingent upon the necessary revisions to the water budget.
And
And
contingent on your licensing.
yeah, license and insurance?
Can I make that motion, Christian?
Yes, please do.
You can always withdraw it.
Yeah, don't second yet.
Technically you can, as long as the question is
know.
restated, but yeah.
Okay, I move that we recommend to the town council to accept the bid of the Clean Management Environmental Group contingent upon receiving documentation of their licenses and permits, and contingent upon the necessary revisions of the water budget.
Before we second it, can you add insurance in addition?
Insurance, that
to-
was mine. Yep, I had insurance too. Yep.
And could we also add the lab results for the sludge sample?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think that means you need to withdraw the motion.
No,
Since it
yeah,
was-
I can amend my motion.
Okay, or amend.
to
Okay, so-
include those.
All right, so that was sort of a practice motion.
So,
Yeah, that was practice. Yeah.
okay, help me out here then. 'Cause
Okay.
I wasn't writing these down.
We the people, yes.
I move that we recommend to the town council to accept the bid of the Clean Management Environmental Group contingent upon receiving documentation of licenses, permits, insurance,
Lab results for the sludge
and the
sample.
lab results for the sludge. as well as being contingent upon the necessary revisions to the water budget.
One question. The lab results for the sludge, or does that mean requiring them to get lab results for the sludge?
There's a part in here, okay.
Chris, I like it so far, but I didn't second.
Yes, just want to make sure.
I didn't second.
Okay, it says, town has provided laboratory results of the sludge solely for the purpose of estimating costs, but vendors are advised to obtain their own laboratory results prior to responding to this RFP, a copy of which shall accompany their proposal.
Okay,
And
so we advised them. So, and if they did it, they were required to put their results with their proposal. If they don't, we're sort of in a little bit of limbo because we didn't make that a deal breaker.
Yeah,
Right.
we didn't
But
require it.
I think the motion is good as it is, because if you look at the bottom of their estimate, it says that, lab results could affect the cost.
right, so I think that makes sense, that we want to know that they're good with it, that they're not going to come back later and say, oh, wait a minute.
So either they get lab results or they agree that the lab results they have fulfill our obligation, and if it doesn't match up, it's on them, not us.
Okay, I think the motion is good.
I think so.
I second it.
Okay. Discussion? Further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All
Motion
right.
passed.
Woo! All right, so I will clean up the sheets. Please send to me your own personal one, so we have that as backup
Oh.
documentation.
Okay.
And then I will compile all that tomorrow. I will provide both of the bids and the bid summary packets as attachments for the meeting tomorrow. Please start thinking in your mind about a number to help me with, to incorporate into the water budget.
Okay.
Could the one I have a problem doing that sheet, because I'm not in my office. I'm in my I don't have access to print and to. Could you
Okay,
just
okay,
fill it
Christian,
out like I?
Okay, can you just hang on after we close out the public, and then just read to me what you did? I really just need your,
Yeah.
You were all in agreement except for one thing on the first part. I just need your parts in the cost, and then I'll make your sheet for you.
Okay.
Yep,
Mine is a mess, but
that's okay. Okay.
I'm on a
Okay.
scrap piece of paper, but that's.
I would like to say that Deb has done a fantastic job of corralling this procurement stuff for us. And this went much more smoothly than it could have, because she's got us pretty well disciplined at this point. So
Yeah, and I agree. And for the first go around with this process, yeah, I think it proves its worth.
I
thought it was
agree
good. Yeah.
also.
so thank you very much, Deb.
You're welcome.
Thank
I
you.
agree also,
Yeah,
and I
thank you,
want to
Deb.
say I appreciate Bill's help too, because some of these things that, I don't have a big background in sludge.
I didn't until recently. I wish I hadn't had to.
Yeah,
But okay, well, thanhanks everyone.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I am gonna be off to the
Oh.
races here for the next one. Yep, go
I
ahead.
move to adjourn.
A second. All those in
Bye,
favor?
everybody.
All right. We're done. At
All right.
6